brace for impact. You're going to vote for Trump. And I'll tell you why. Because you're
I don't know if I could do that.
I'll tell you why.
The beautiful spring day walk. I'm not down with any of that shit. So any of these people that support it, I'm not voting for the
price. If I say Zionist, you pay me a certain price. If I say Zionist, Israel, and Jewish, that's the big three, I get paid for that. Right. Same as always. Yeah, just keep paying me the same thing. Zionist, Israel, Jewish.
This right here is like the third or the fourth video that I've done on this guy. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the only reason why I'm doing this video is, well, because I want to do the video, but there's something else too. A lot of people are sharing this recent interview that Michael Rapaport, a former serial Donald Trump hater, and of course, New York Lib, a lot of people are sharing this interview of him, let's just say, rebuking the far left, and also at the exact same time saying that he was not going to vote for Joe Biden. And of course, he's been heavily hinting at the fact that Dick Donald Trump voting for him was on the table. However, there are a lot of people who are pointing out that this entire situation could just be fake, and of course it could just be good old-fashioned, I don't know, content farming from a D-list celebrity. Now guys, I've done some videos asking the exact same question, but I've never really and truly answered it. So let's go through this and let's see if this actual conversion of his is genuine or if it's just for good old-fashioned clicks.
This is the kind of content you pump out. You're doing this for free. I mean, look at this. 200 likes, 21 reposts, and 38 comments. Now I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that video of you pretending to be paid by the Israeli government to put out Israeli content is utter bullshit. Because no one in their right mind is gonna pay you for this dog shit engagement.
If I say Israel, you gotta pay me a certain price. If I say Zionist, you pay me a certain price. If I say Zionist, Israel, and Jewish, that's the big three, I get paid for that.
This video was obviously staged. Why would Michael be in a hallway of a hotel talking so loud like this? Can we cancel this guy already? Why are people in their 50s acting like big man babies? Your guess is as good as mine.
Of course, there are also those people who love to make fun of Mr. Rapaport by posting one of the ones I just showed you guys in the B-roll footage, the girl basically talking about how irrelevant he is. And for the most part, he is irrelevant. But still, at the same time, it's pretty obvious, especially given the fact that he would eventually go on his Twitter and basically say that it was scripted. I would tend to lean into the whole notion that that little situation was, in fact, scripted. I mean, people don't just go outside of their hotel room in the hallway and just start talking really loud. I think the second clip is actually the much more correct one. As far as canceling him is concerned, you guys know me, I'm not in favor of cancel culture. I'm in favor of something called accountability, which means that you're actually held accountable for the dumb things that you say, and then you eventually just move the hell on. I think that this current crop of cancel culture, where it's not just canceling something over somebody said, but actually canceling them all the way up to their job, I think is completely out of control, and I think it's done, or it's being done, from the perspective of somebody who's got a brain probably the size of a pedal. But let's go forward. Those, but there are two people who are calling out Rapaport over a recent ordeal that he posted to Twitter. It was a video that he posted of himself, basically saying that, and of course you guys caught in the second video that I showed you, that obviously his voice is much louder. People are going to show up. They're probably going to see what the hell's going on. Then they realize this Michael Rapaport, a guy who did play in a few movies. Of course, Jeremy at the Quartering the other day, he released a video on this. And of course, he basically said, look, you know, I don't know what it was that he got famous for. The movies that he starred in includes Copland, cult classic. Of course, it also includes True Romance, another cult classic. And of course, he's also been on various sports shows. The one that I've seen him on the most back in the day before they went fully woke was Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Now, the thing is this right here. A lot of people are wondering why it is that a sudden serial Trump hater is now changing his mind. And I want to go ahead and tell you guys right now that if his turn is in fact genuine, it probably started a long time prior. But once again, though, people have obviously got the inclination to ask the question if it's actually true. Let's go back in time. There's a video of him getting a snowball thrown in his face, which I'm going to go ahead and play for you guys now because obviously we need to play it to kind of establish something here.
You know, this whole crap with cancel culture and the...
Shut up! Shit! Shut the fuck
up. Nobody wants to hear it.
fucker.
You've been talking all fucking week. You don't care what you have to say. Just stop talking.
You got me right in my fucking head.
And you may be thinking at the very, very end of that clip that voice telling him to shut the F up may have been Bill Burr. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I remember posting the exact same clip to YouTube as a short, basically just to post it because I thought it was kind of funny. But let's listen to it one more time.
You know, this whole crap with cancel culture and the...
Shut up.
Shit.
Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear it.
Fucker.
You've been talking all fucking week. You don't care what you have to say. Just stop talking.
You got me right in my
It's
fucking
pretty
head.
obvious if you look at this a few times, then you'll see that it's obviously scripted. A lot like what happened in the hotel hallway. It seems like it's pretty daggone scripted. The idea, of course, is to make people think that you're content farming just to get some additional clicks. It's a good old-fashioned grift. Of course, if I mention this right here to the hiker babies, they'll ratio in the comment section, but quite frankly, I do love triggering those people. But still, at the same time, people are obviously wondering if this little ordeal that he's going through is actually real. Now, we'll get to the interview here in a second, but if you go to the guy's Twitter page, you will see that every single day he is posting 173 days, 175 days, 178 days, talking about the situation in Gaza where hostages are still there. Of course, if you go to Glenn Beck's page and you watch any of his content, you'll see at the very, very bottom of the screen that he also has a hostage list as well. So you might be thinking, maybe it's real. Maybe it's actually true. Now, guys, before we go any further, I used to think this right here was just a great big giant grift too, especially given some of the things that he said. Just seems a little bit, how do I say, it seems a little bit unreal given his actual MO. But it does go back a lot further. I'll give you an example of something that he recently posted about Pig Dick Donald Trump.
This is why when I say voting for Pig Donald Trump is on the table, voting for Pig Donald Trump is on the table. The other day in New York City, 6 illegal aliens jumped a New York City cop, NYPD's finest. They jumped a New York City cop in Times Square and were arrested. And
before I go any further, I want to go ahead and say this right now. Michael Rapaport has never said that he was going to vote for Donald Trump, regardless of what.
okay, stay with me. Released without bail. Came out of the courtroom on some Tupac raising the middle finger with the Detroit Red Wings jersey. Let me tell you something. What the is the world coming to? If you could be from another country, beat up a cop in New York City and walk out with no bail, what the is the world coming to? What the is the world coming to? I know Mayor Adams, you're from Brownsville, Brooklyn. I know this.
He's never said that. What he has said is that voting for Donald Trump is an option. That's all the hell he has said. Okay, so the way things are edited, of course, you might think to yourself that obviously it's designed to get clicks, it's designed to get views. But that's the thing. How do you go from this here?
He goes to fucking federal prison. That would be my fucking dream. That him and that dumb fucking Don Jr., those two, and Rudy Giuliani, the 3 of them, that they go to jail in federal fucking prison. That would be my...
To then go into this here.
You issue an executive order about 4 troublemaking ups who've already been arrested in Judea, Samaria, while there's a war going on, while there's 100+ hostages still being...
Tell me that people with the vaccine, vaccinated people, are now spreading the coronavirus. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, I was yes, I'm vaccinated. You had a little sticker. Yay, I'm vaccinated. Be a hero, be vaccinated. I went from being a hero because I'm vaccinated, and now you mother are calling me a super spreader? I ain't no super spreader. Figure this out.
He was very, very much on the idea of taking the poke. And of course, he obviously took the poke. The poke that came out towards the end of the Trump administration, right before he was leaving office. People forget that set of vaccines, they were actually rolled out in December of 2020. Of course, the current regime loves to take credit for that. Now, my feeling about the poke is this here. I never took it, never will take it, or at least I won't take it until some more science has backed up the claims that it's actually safe. Some people, of course, they chose to get it. Well, actually, a lot of people chose to go get it. a lot of people who, quite frankly, hated the former president obviously went and decided to go get it the minute that the vaccine came out. And it made you actually question exactly what the hell was going on. Was everything just fear? Well, there's something else, too, that you got to understand. Over time, people do, in fact, change their mind on things. Now, this next thing that I'm saying, of course, is strictly anecdotal. I may have actually brought this up before, but you guys know me. I do things off script. But I'm going to go ahead and bring it up again. I was talking to a friend of mine who did have a channel on this platform at one point in time. I'm not going to name any names or anything like that because I think the person wants to stay, for the most part, relatively secret. This person was sending me emails back and forth, sending me messages not only in the comment section, but also on Twitter as well. And, of course, I simply brought the issue up. I just simply retweeted one of his tweets of him calling out what the hell was going on with the Biden administration over Gaza and Israel, the situation that's going on in the Strip. And, of course, to go on top of that, he basically said, no, it's actually real, because he was recently speaking at previous events. One of these events, one of these March for Israel events, of course, included Minister John Hagee. Michael Rapaport was also at the exact same event, giving basically his speech, giving basically a spiel about the entire situation. So you would think right there off the surface that obviously him being Jewish, that he is probably for real in this case. But still, though, it does leave the question, is this right here being done just for good old-fashioned content farming and just to get his name in the out there? Well, seeing how it is that he is a D-list celebrity, you probably would think he's just trying to stay relevant, and I, for a long time, thought the exact same thing. But then I remembered that there was another situation talking about the lockdowns and the pandemic. Of course, this was back in 2021 when he did this little interview with TMZ. Now, really quick, before I play this little header, or this little clip, is going to have a header over it. The reason why it's got a header over it is because TMZ is pretty daggone bad for copyright claims. Let's play this and listen to what he was saying back in 2020.
Because of the weather and the size of it is shut down. I was just surprised and just taking it's the frustration, the people in Staten Island, they're made to look like idiots and they're made to look like babies and they're made to look like they're whining. A place like Staten Island, half of small Staten Island is closed down, and then you could go across the street and it's not closed down. So that was the same reaction. And the thought that I had was I just don't understand some of the sense. That being said, I'm all for, I wear my mask. I want everybody to be safe. I do not want coronavirus. I don't understand the science and the logic behind you could have a flea market, but you can't have outdoor dining.
He was beginning to question the whole lockdown situation. Of course, he was also beginning to question the whole vaccine situation. They called me a super spreader. I'm not a super spreader. I know my impersonation of Rapaport is not very good. But of course, going back to some of the previous videos that he's done, especially about the situation going on in the Middle East, it might make you think that maybe, just maybe, it's legitimate. Especially given the fact that lifelong Democrat and very, very famous Democrat Alan Dershowitz was recently on his podcast, basically echoing the same exact sentiment that Michael Rapaport did. Of course, this little thing that I'm about to show you has obviously been edited for effect, but still at the same time, it's let's just say that I wouldn't call it an inaccurate thing to actually say. I would think that both sides of the aisle here, what I mean by both sides of the aisle is Palestinians and, of course, also Jews both. I don't think that it's actually a safe block for Democrats going forward. Now, what I'm going to do is this here. I'm going to play the Dershowitz.
Can't any longer assume that if you're Jewish and pro-Israel, you're going to vote Democrat. That used to be the case. No longer the case. My vote is up for grabs. You have to earn my vote. I'm not decided who I'm going to vote for at this point. Jewish supporters of Israel, unlike Muslims and Arabs in Michigan, we have somewhere to go. The Muslims and Arabs have nowhere to go. They're not going to vote for Trump. They're not going to vote for Bobby Kennedy, who's the most pro-Israel candidate out there. On the other hand, many Jews could vote for Donald Trump. So don't take us for granted. Don't assume that just because our parents and grandparents voted Democrat that we're going to vote Democrat. For many Jews, that's probably the case.
And of course, in the Wisconsin primary, even though Joe Biden obviously got more votes this time around, especially given the fact that Wisconsin is traditionally a blue state, even though it did vote Republican in 2016, the thing is this right here. His uncommitted votes, which I'm not saying it the correct way as what it is on the ballot there, was still pretty daggone high. In my home state of North Carolina, you had a lot of voters who were saying, you know what, we're not exactly okay with the current regime. You had the exact same thing happen in Michigan, the exact same thing happened in Minnesota. Let's just say the uncommitted and the protest vote against Biden within the party was pretty daggone high. Now, of course, there are some people saying that this right here has been designed to get Biden to pivot away from the pro-Israel stance to a much, much more pro-Palestinian stance. It's an election year, so obviously you would think that somebody would obviously lean into what is popular. And of course, Israel is in fact losing some popularity on the world stage. I'm not going to deny that. And I'm a guy who, quite frankly, is pro-Israel. But of course, I think, a much, much more sensible way of handling the situation versus many others, which I'll tell you guys once again towards the end. The point is this right here. This situation did not happen overnight. Now, I hate to do it again, but the Gallup polling data that came out recently showed you that the Democrats were already beginning to shift away from Israel back last year, even earlier than that. I've always said that the radical left is probably the most anti-Israel faction in the United States. This right doesn't include does include, of course, Muslims and even some secular Jews who are mostly atheists. The point is this right here. They were already shifting in that direction.
But when you take a look at the data going back to March 2023, you see this is actually a long time coming. This was well before the October 7th attacks. Democrats were already on the side of Palestine. So naturally, when we saw October 7th, what do you expect? Many leftist organizations started defending Hamas. Activist groups in New York. Now that's insane.
Now, I hate to use the beanie guy to kind of help explain that, but of course, Democrat Party affiliation has also gone down as well. Also, something else too, independents, of course, are starting to lean away from the Democratic Party as well. Now, I've already voiced my opinion on what's going to happen this election cycle. I think it's probably going to be a low turnout election. The polling data seems to suggest that former President Trump will win. Of course, the court cases are beginning to fall apart, especially the Georgia case, which, by the way, was the only one that carried a mandatory prison sentence. And, of course, the main charge that would have sent him to prison has already been removed. And, of course, Fani Willis has got to decide whether she wants to re-indict or not, especially going to the fact that she's got an election coming up. And, of course, her credibility has been completely destroyed, especially given the recent rounds of what's been going on in the state of Georgia. But still, at the same time, most of these trials are getting delayed. The only one that's actually about to occur is the one involving Stormy Daniels. But even that one would not survive the appeals process because of the state statute of limitations already being 2 years beyond that when this entire situation was filed. Basically, it was a bunch of misdemeanors that was rolled up into like 1 or 2 felonies, but of course it was still beyond the state statute of limitations. The fact of the matter is the Democratic Party is, in fact, they are abusing the law. And of course, they're obviously trying to prosecute their political opposition. But what does this right have to do with Rapaport? Well, it's not so much Rapaport, it's what I showed you earlier with Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz is a lifelong Democrat. I know he defended Donald Trump during his first impeachment trial, but still at the same time. He's also been friends with the man for a very, very long time. Donald Trump was a former New York liberal or New York business dem who just simply got more and more conservative over time on social issues. For the most part, he's still very, very much a business dem. He's really more of a moderate Republican than anything else nowadays. But of course, if you are just left of center, the far left will brand you as far right. This verse also has got something to do with Michael Rapaport's recent change in actual positions. But about that interview, let's look at it.
I have educated myself so much since 2016, and I have a ways to go. My political views have changed immensely, and they're changing at a rapid pace. I will not vote for Joe Biden. I do not support anybody from the squad. I think they're totally full of shit. I think they're dangerous. I think they're race hustlers. I think they're cons. I think inevitably they want to get themselves production deals to produce documentaries. I think they're 3-card Monty playing bullshit artists. I think they totally have an agenda.
Of course, roughly 40 seconds, he's talking about the squad. By the way, one of the members of the squad, Cori Bush, she's currently receiving a primary challenge in her district. AIPAC, by the way, is paying for that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys about them, just simply saying. But, of course, the right, they've also got their issues as well. We've talked about Candace Owens in the Daily Wire, and, of course, there's actually more to come on that situation. I think it's going to be coming out. But I'm going to wait until more things come out before I actually do a full frontal or full-fledged long essay about that entire situation or response. The thing is this right here. Rapaport is seeing the current Democratic Party, which, by the way, it was a Democrat president at the time that Israel was established or reestablished as a land in 1948. That was actually Harry Truman. So you would probably think the Democrats would be the ones that are much, much more pro-Israel. They're obviously the much, much more humanitarian party, or they were at one point in time. However, that has obviously changed, and now they've turned more and more and more into the authoritarian left party. Of course, they call people on the right fascist, or anybody who disagrees with them fascist. But I mean, I'm pretty sure it kind of comes with the territory. You just simply disagree with a person and automatically you become Hitler just in that moment. That's just kind of how these people are, which also goes to the whole mental health crisis that we've got in America. But still, at the same time, I think what's going on is that Rapaport is simply just looking at what the hell is going on, and he's saying this party no longer represents me. But like I said, there's a lot more to come.
I've said, not to go down the rabbit hole, that at this point when we're doing this interview, voting for Trump is on the table. People are like, what are you talking about? That's my reality. That is my reality. I will not support anybody who's anti-Israel. I will not support anybody that is anti, making America safe. I'm not supporting anybody that is cool with the fact that it takes me 2.5 hours to get back into America from Toronto at the what is it called, the passport at the
Passport control.
The line to go from Toronto to New York. It takes me 2.5 hours, as it should, but it takes you 2 minutes.
They're losing voters. They're losing Muslims. They're losing members of the alphabet community. They're losing college kids, and they're also losing Jews. They're also losing blacks. Now, originally this video was supposed to be about the Democratic Party and how it is that the Israel-Palestinian conflict in Gaza. This video was originally supposed to be about why it was that this right here was probably going to end them as a party, or could. But let's just say even if Biden was to get elected, more than likely Republicans would just add to their very, very slim House majority, gain back a lot of state and local seats. And then to go on top of that, they probably would win back the Senate, which of course favors Republicans. I mean, even the Democrats were able to win the Arizona seat, the Nevada seat, and the Montana seat. More than likely, the Ohio, West Virginia seats would, in fact, flip. Also, something else, too, the Wisconsin race is starting to actually heat up now that Republicans have actually produced a solid candidate there. The point is this right here. Even if Democrats were still to hold on to the White House by some miracle at this point in time, even given the fact that a lot of these poll numbers coming out showing Trump doing better on the economy, immigration, and by the way, that right there is definitely forefront at the very, very front of this entire situation this year. It looks to me like the administration would be paralyzed going into 2028. Also, something else too, the 2026 Senate map favors Republicans. The 2028 Senate map actually favors Republicans a lot more than it does Dems. As the culture continues to shift more and more and more, the Overton window continues to shift more and more and more, you're going to find yourself seeing a lot of former liberals suddenly voting Republican. The point of the matter is, of course, if it doesn't happen this year, it's going to happen somewhere down the road. But we may still entertain that video later on this year.
I'm not down with police officers in the greatest city on earth getting beaten up, and you're a legal immigrant, and then you have no bail. I'm not down with
and flipping off the camera.
Flipping off the fucking camera like Tupac when he got arrested and he was coming out in the red Detroit Red Wings t-shirt. I'm not down with going into a Costco or a 7-Eleven or a Rite Aid, as I videotaped once and went crazy viral, cleaning out the spot and walking like you're on a like a beautiful.
The border issue is waking a lot of people up. Look, like I said before, the problem, and I don't know if I said this enough, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again anyways. And I know I've said this right here in several videos. Maybe I should do a better job explaining in every single video as far as actually getting it out, because sometimes I'll say, look, I said this right before, but of course it didn't show up in the video. But still, the thing is this right here. A lot of Muslims are turning on Biden because Biden, of course, while getting turned on by them, they view this as a slap in the face because they still view him as very, very pro-Israel because he's got a friendship with Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, not the president. Of course, Destiny thinks that Erdogan is the president of Israel, which of course is not true. Erdogan is the leader of Turkey. The president of Israel is not Benjamin Netanyahu. It's actually Isaac Herzog. And of course, Democrats, who, by the way, I'm showing you guys some bits from the Vox article, they are starting to actually turn on Israel. Now, of course, I'll link the article in the description box. If you guys want to read the article, you guys can obviously stop the video and do that. That's probably going to be a mantra of the channel going forward, that I'm probably going to start doing things more from a webcam so that way I can do a share screen and actually read the article to you. But I'm not very good at reading. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm good when it comes to actually like reading something that I actually put out there. But for whatever reason, it's just an issue that I've always had. I mean, like I said, it's obviously a character flaw. It's obviously a flaw with me. Before I respond to any of that, and of course I'm going to be responding to a lot of what was said once again when we get to the next part of the video, because I did a video recently on this that was him on the Patrick Bet David podcast talking about this situation. Truth be told is, if his red pilling process is real, which I'm starting to believe that it is, and I understand people pointing out that it's a grift once again, it actually started long before anything that he said today. I just find it funny that leftoids, or people who quite frankly were never Trumpers, who suddenly found this guy funny when Trump was in office, I find it very odd that they just keep retweeting it. You see, if you want to, how do I say this? You don't win bees with vinegar, you win them with honey. If anything, what you need to be doing is you need to be kind of explaining to this guy why it is that Trump is so bad, why he's so wrong, and why you were so right to dislike him. They can't do that because obviously the reality on the ground, the reality that people are seeing is not exactly what the mainstream media is telling what it is. Also, to go on top of this, if you actually ask these people, even with good old-fashioned follow-up questions, they can't actually answer the question. They're telling you that crime is down, yet you guys can obviously see, and I'm showing you guys some bits from a New York Post article, where the New York Post basically came out with the new data showing that just about every form of crime out there in the city of New York is actually up to the roof. Now that you've now got that full data that came in from 2023. By the way, a lot of these people who are saying that crime is down, they're operating on old data. Of course, they're also not mentioning the fact that there are a lot of crimes taking place that people are not actually reporting. Also, to go on top, and by the way, they're not reporting the crimes because they already know that New York's bail reform is a bunch of crap. People are getting let back on, or repeat offenders are obviously offending. They're obviously doing it again, and nobody's actually reporting it. Also, when you change the threshold for a felony to now being a misdemeanor, that is also going to affect the crime data as well. People like Rapaport see what the hell is actually going on in the cities that they live in. They see what the hell is going on with cops. They see what the hell is going on with the migrant crisis. They see what the hell is going on with the pro-Palestinian crap and the anti-Israel sentiment. So, of course, he's probably going to have a shift, a lot like Alan Dershowitz, to the more middle column. Now, really quick, he's never said he's going to vote for Donald Trump. I didn't say it before, but I'm going to say it now. He's never actually said he's going to vote for Donald Trump. He's just saying that the option is on the table. But about that option on the table, let's get back to what he was saying on the Patrick Bet David podcast recently.
Brace for impact. You're going to vote for Trump. And I'll tell you why. Because you're
I don't know if I could do that.
I'll tell you why.
Mike, just hang on.
And by the way, you're talking to somebody that was probably closer to your camp in 2016 and
he was
and certainly
anti.
in 2020.
This guy hated.
I never said hate. I didn't like Trump, but also I've never said the word hate. You can roll the tape.
Okay.
I didn't like a lot of the things he did, a lot of things you highlighted. For me, there was the one that like I was like, I can't do this, was when he pretended like he didn't know who David Duke was.
If you listen to the Patrick Bet David podcast, and I listen to him at least roughly once a week just to see what kind of guest he has on. I listen to this one right here. I listen to the one with Stephen A. Smith. I listen to the one with Chael Sonnen. I listen to Patrick Bet David from time to time. Okay, the exact same way I listen to Tim Pool the exact same time around. I pull a lot of clips out so that way you guys can see what the hell was said in full context. I react, I respond to them. It's just kind of my thing. The thing is this right here. Adam was very, very much a never Trumper back in 2020. He was very much a never Trumper back in 2016. He has turned into an actual Trumper. Not full-blown conservative, but he's turned into a Trumper. I'm not saying that Rapaport is becoming a Trumper. I'm just simply saying that Michael Rapaport is looking at the situation. He's starting to realize that he's been sold a bill of crap. That right there is what the hell is going on. His discontent for Donald Trump kept him from looking to see exactly what was going on around him. But how did this conversation actually start? Well, let's go back.
It's okay.
The interest rates they're not good right now.
It should stay like, and by the way, I said this last week.
They suck now because I just bought a house
Yeah.
and a car in the last, and the interest rates are like.
Where did you buy your house?
I don't want to say.
You're not going to like this.
But not in this state and not in Texas. So I didn't get the
Okay. So you're in New York or California?
Something like that.
The amount of money lost, the price of everything going through the roof. By the way, people are telling you that the price of gas is down, but yet the CBO is saying that the price of gas is going to go right back up, which it actually does every spring anyways, going into summer. I mean, People are already upset about gasoline prices, but of course, people also forget to mention that it was Biden who drained our strategic oil reserve. We need to be leaning into our own fuel, is all I'm going to say. The housing market crisis, the inflation's through the roof. Once you start screwing around with somebody's money, that right there is definitely going to make people start to question what they're voting for. That's all the hell you really and truly have to do. Greg Foreman released a video about a guy who was talking about his experience with Obamacare and how it was that he was a cancer patient, how it was that that red pilled him. The point is this right here. There's a lot more factors that are sending Michael Rapaport in this spin outside of just what's going on between Israel and the Palestinians. But let's watch some more, because the more and more you watch this, the more and more revealing
Specifically, you see who the Democrats have exposed their hand, especially the progressive left. You see what's going on between Israel and Gaza. You have 3 starved David highs on your chest right now. And as someone who is a proud New Yorker your whole life, you see what the Democratic Party has turned into. This DEI, ESG, woke manifestation of ridiculousness, intersectionality, decolonialization. You're looking at that and you say, you know what? As much as I can't stand big dick Donald Trump.
You said it.
The Charlottesville Very Fine People hoax. He came around on that one there. There are other issues, by the way, that he's actually came around on and acknowledged that, hey, look, man, the mainstream media is not telling us the truth about.
You also acknowledge that.
Because I will acknowledge that, you know, that one thing about the Charlottesville that I ranted about.
Yes.
And I was wrong.
But the both sides thing.
Yeah, and I respect
so irresponsible.
And I respect the shit out of it.
Wait, let me hear him out. Hang on, go a little bit more. What do you mean by that? You were wrong on that.
No, because he said the both sides. You know, there's good people on both sides, and when you see the full quote, that wasn't what he said. And you know, I ranted on him hard for that. Hard. There's some video about it, whatever. I mean, I ranted hard because I was like, what are you talking about, man?
Because you got played.
Now, before I get this last one, and before I respond to everything that was said there, because I actually put 2 of them together, the Democratic Party has shown you their hand. They are showing you that they prioritize those who don't live in this country. I mean, you guys
I'm not voting
or
for
anybody.
Biden.
Well, but Mikey, what about
Not
anybody
voting for
else?
them.
What about Michael?
Listen,
what about anybody
Vinny,
from
what
the
he's
left?
saying is,
Who?
what he's saying
There's
is,
nobody.
I'm saying, like,
Kennedy.
what if Newsom or one of these cats pop up?
Gavin, I just left California. I'm not voting for Gavin with the good hair.
I love that. I love that.
Gavin with the good hair,
But
just like Becky.
Fuck out of here.
So my here's my thing though. So
I'm not a sucker.
they love him. You
Gavin.
see how much they love him, though.
they love his
Newsom.
ass.
They like his hair.
But go deeper. Why do you say you're not a sucker? What does that mean?
Because I just moved out of Los Angeles.
Okay.
It's not happening, man.
Anytime somebody brings up the fact and they say, well, there is no border crisis going on, all you got to do is just show them that the border crisis was definitely manufactured by that guy there. It's not just the border crisis. It's not just the economy. It's not just what's going on in the Middle East. It's also what the hell he's about to mention right now, because I think that this right here that you're about to see was what the hell really started the red pilling process.
I moved out because I wanted to go to New York. I didn't move out for any reason. I wanted to move back to New York full time. That's why I left. But on top, the homelessness in New York, in Los Angeles and in California, San Diego, San Francisco. I could speak on those places. Sacramento is so, but particularly in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area is unacceptable. It's scary. It's I don't know the how to fix it. It's unacceptable. It's not safe. It's not sanitary. I know California and Los Angeles is a driving city, but I do like to walk. When you walk, you shouldn't feel just uncomfortable by hordes and hordes and hordes of homeless people. It's not good for them. It ain't good for me. It's not good across the board. And the taxes suck, but the homelessness and how it went, down so bad so quickly, and the crime.
The homeless crisis in California, the homelessness, which, by the way, is extremely dangerous. I've had a lot of people complain to me about how it is that America's got this homeless problem. Of course, if you actually look at the homeless problem, you'll see that the vast majority of the homeless in this country come from where? Very, very, very blue cities. Some of them will even say that this is obviously a problem of capitalism, yet they also believe that capitalism is an ideology when in reality it's just an economical system. They'll say this not looking at who the hell is actually running the cities. Of course, the city hall, the city councils, who's actually running things. They don't look at that. They don't see how the hell it's handled. If I remember correctly, Gavin Newsom was able to clean up the homeless for a day before Xi Jinping showed up, but that's none of my business. Basically, living in a blue state that sends you, I don't know, back to New York because of the homeless situation, the price of everything going through the roof, not just the price of everything going through the roof, but the price of gas, the price of housing, what's going on in the Middle East. It seems to me that everything in the world broke Michael Rapaport. So while it does look fishy in some areas, I'm going to go ahead and come on out and say it. I think Rapaport's turn, at least from the current crop of Democrats, is genuine. Now, as far as what he'll do, I think he'll do what a lot of angry liberals will do, a lot of libs who, quite frankly, are disaffected from their party will do, and they'll probably just stay home is what will probably happen. But, of course, they're going to need those people to get over. And it's also going to be hilarious watching the current crop of Dems try to reconvince these Dems by shaming them, because that's what they do, to go vote for them. It's going to be hilarious to watch the struggle sessions is all I got to say. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say and your actual thoughts on this. With that right there being said, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share the video. Please also hit the notifications bell so that way you guys are notified when the video comes out. And I'll see you guys later.